Hi YouTubers, hi, I'm back with the 24 books of 2024 Corners down in Great Yarmouth. And I've never ever read any Ruth Rendall's books before. I found this in a charity shop. Ruth Rendall from Doon with Death, the first ever Inspector Wexford to Inspector Wexford book. Okay, so the first Inspector Wexford mystery. So, from Doon with Death. And read the blurb. Very, very interesting. Probably his time, published in 1964. Okay. Love and death, said Chief Inspector Wexford. Those are the only two sensational things that ever happened to Margaret Parsons. Love and death. The thing is, they both happened in my district. The police knew all about Margaret Parsons' life, and by the looks of it, it was very dull. Margaret Parsons had been a good woman, religious, old-fashioned, and respectable. Her life had been as spotless and ordinary as her home, as unexciting and dependable as her marriage. But it was not Margaret Parsons' life that interested Wexford, it was her death. She had been a predictable, ordinary woman. Now she met a death of passion and violence, for which there seemed neither motive nor clue. Okay, so Margaret Parson, very, very normal person, about 30 years of age, and she is dead. That's the thing, she's absolutely dead. And it starts off with a message from Doon to Minna, which was Margaret's kind of pen name, her code name. Okay, "You've broken my heart. There I've written it. Not for you to read, Minna, for this letter will never be sent. Never shrink and wither under your laughter, little lips prim and pleated. Laughter like dulcimer music. She told of the muse who awaited me. I wanted you to walk beside me in her vaulted halls. There were the springs of Helicon. I would furnish you with food of the soul, the bread that is prose and the wine that is poetry. Ah, the wine, Minna. That is the red blood of the troubadour. Right. Truly you've broken my heart and dashed the wine cup against the wall. Right. So Margaret Parson has turned up dead. And the thing is, her husband, the moment he gets home and realizes that Margaret isn't there, he doesn't even wait. He reports her straight away to the police. Okay, and you really get a glimpse of Margaret Parsons' social economic status. Okay, they live in the countryside. Um, Neither her and her husband drive. Cars were obviously 1960s. Okay, so and this bit here, when the detectives are talking to Margaret, okay, about her daily life, right? Here we go. Right. Did she say what she was going to do with herself during the day? The usual thing, I suppose, shopping in the house. You know, the sort of thing women do. He paused and said suddenly, "Look, she won't kill herself. Don't get any ideas like that. Margaret won't kill herself. She's a religious woman." Right. So, asking her husband, Westwood asking him, okay, what's her daily routine? And it's like, oh, well, she's a housewife. So, normal housewife things, shopping, cooking, things like that. Absolutely. Okay. So after they find Margaret Parsons' body in a field, right, it's interesting too, okay, how these men, now remember, Ruth Rendall, female author, okay, in a tradition, okay, of great female novelists, okay, especially crime dramas, think of Agatha Christie before, okay, so it's this bit here, okay, is they're talking, okay, they've actually found a lipstick near the scene of the crime, right, here you go, right. A lipstick, Westford said. "You took it from Byron, covering his fingers with a handkerchief and upheaved it to expose a circular label on the base. Arctic Sable. Something else that looks like 8 and 6 written in violet ink. Anything else? So you need to find, okay, this lipstick, right? This absolute lipstick, and here you go. And this doesn't belong to Miss Parsons. A woman as poor as a church mouse doesn't take a lipstick in a purse, or even have a purse, or stuff down her bosom an 8 and 6 penny lipstick. Okay? Right. So they think it's lipstick Margaret's? No, of course not. It's way too expensive. Margaret didn't have a purse, she didn't wear makeup. Okay? And when it comes to these men describing women, okay, women and their makeup, women and the objects they use to make themselves look beautiful, okay, it's interesting too, okay, of the assumptions every single man has about women. Now, I think Ruth Rendall, okay, was making a point here because obviously, okay, this crime would massage a lot quicker. They just open their mind a little bit. They think, okay, the killer is a man. The killer is a man, okay. And the thing is this: so when they're discussing women and lipstick, it's quite funny, okay. Is this bit here, right, right? You know as well as I do, when a woman only lipstick on, when a woman only only uses lipstick on holidays and holidays, and for some reason or other, a sense of daring probably, She always picks a bright red. This is a filthy colour, sort of thing a rich woman might buy if she's already got a dozen lipsticks and wanted the latest shade for a gimmick. Okay? So women only wear makeup on a certain kind of thing. Women only buy a particular shade because they want to be, bold and daring. This is a filthy colour. Women who wear lipstick like this are rich and filthy. The assumptions. Money and privilege plays a lot of part in all of this, right? So, luckily, okay, they actually need to track down the actual owner of the lipstick, which they do with absolute ease. And when they track down the owner, okay, and who actually has a nanny, right? This bit here, right, of Mrs. Mizzle, right? Mrs. Mizzle, okay, who is now officially suspect because they tracked it down and it's her lipstick, right? A shortage of lolly, Wexford said ironically when the girl had gone. The girl was a nanny, by the way. It is the sort of setup I had in mind when I said she might buy an Arctic sable for a gimmick, right? And then you actually meet Mrs. Missile, right? A woman in white slacks stepped out of the car and strolled to the foot of the steps. The kingfisher blue and a darker blue patterned silk suit that held back her red hair matched her shirt. Burden thought she was beautiful, although her face was hard, its tanned skin was stretched on a still frame. He not paid to admire, but to observe. For him, the most significant thing about her was her mouth was painted the brownish pink by the clear golden red. Right. Once again, makeup's got, talent to it. I mean, why did Doon buy this lipstick? Why did Doon leave this lipstick? How well Doon actually? Now you can guess, okay, that Doon is Miss Missile, okay? But it takes the actual detectives, which are Inspector Wexford and Burden, right, way a long time to actually figure this out. Because they never would have figured that Doon was a woman. Doon was writing letters, okay, to Margaret Parsons or Minna, right. And it's interesting to once again, privilege and power really, really come into this, right? When they finally go up into Margaret's attic and find some books, which have been given to her by Doon, okay? And this bit here, right? Rather sentimental, Minna, but you know what I mean. Happy, happy birthday. Oh, my love, Doon. March 21st, 1950. Okay? So, yes, letters, notes and books, that kind of thing. Long, rambling letters about how Doon absolutely adored Minna. Right. But the thing is this, okay, once again, these detectives cannot figure that Doon could be a woman, and this bit here. If Minna was anything to go by, Doon was bound to be a pseudonym too. Doon wouldn't be a boy any more but a man of 35 or 30. A married man with children, perhaps, who'd forgotten all about his old love. But I wonder where Doon was now, lost absorbed perhaps in the great labyrinth of London, or still living a mile or two away. Right. So they originally think that male Missile, Mr. Missile, is originally Doon before they turn their attention when it takes way too long to Mrs. Missile. Right. So, yes, this is a story very much about repression, about being closeted in a time period. And people's actual reactions to this, once again, a very sound uptake. Now, Margaret Parson was an orphan. She grew up in the care system. She won a scholarship to a school. That's where she met Doon. And because she was quite retiring. She was very, very kind of frightened. She was quite aloof, if you will, with people. Which for Doon, grew up in privilege. That was more of a mystery. That's why Doon, or Mrs. Mizzle, fell in love with Margaret Parson. Margaret Parson was very, very unassuming, but in Doon's head, Miss Mizzle's head, it was a great love affair. Right. Okay. Right. So once again, whilst they're going through Margaret Parsons' life, okay, and right. I know that, Mike. But so yes, Burnham. But something or other, we've got to have a break. There might be it. We know all about Margaret Parsons' life in Balham, and by the looks of it, it was mightily dull. And two sensational things ever happened to her, as far as I can see. Love and death, Mike. Love and death. The only thing is, they both happened here in my district. Someone loved her here, and when she came back, somebody killed her. One of these girls may remember a possessive boyfriend with a long memory. Right. So they go to the school, okay, and in the meantime, they actually find a Margaret's family, okay, over in America, have actually written Margaret a letter. And it's quite interesting too, because that is the biggest clue in this, okay? It's the ultimate kind of key to all of this. Now it's interesting too, because even though Mrs. Missel or Doon saw Margaret has a great love affair, the way it's described is, first of all, born of stalkerish, by the way. Actually, no, still, it is stalkerish. How Doon, Missel, actually pursued Margaret, okay, is, here you go, this is the letter, okay, here we go. Still can't see why you should be scared of Doon. What of, for the Lord's sake? There's never anything in that. You know what I mean, Meg? I can't believe Doon is still keen. He always has such a suspicious mind. But if meeting Doon means trips in cars and a free few meals, I won't be too scrupulous. Right? So it's the whole kind of, so many people don't see the love affair. They don't see, okay, that Doon legitimately was in love with Margaret. But they're like, oh, well, this is from Margaret's own cousin overseas. Oh, well, you can just spend time with her and basically get some females, some dinners, okay, and rides in cars and that kind of thing. So, oh, it's okay. Because no one thinks to way too long in the day, okay, that June could be a woman. And it is quite amusing, kind of knowing this, okay, right. I mean, even at one point, Margaret actually got a boyfriend, okay, by the name of Dudley, and gave a book that Miss Missel had actually given to her, to Dudley, right, because she was, that's the thing, there you go. Vernon wrote vainly. The letter, like his recipient, was a puzzle. As he put it down and turned to the telephone, he was certain of only two facts. Doon had been making advances. He wanted something else, something that frightened Miss Parsons. But was it so innocuous that in his estimation of a cousin that would be shown excessive suspicion to be scrupulous about it? He shook his head like a man who'd been flunked by an intricate riddle and began to dial. Yeah, absolutely. And it's very interesting because further along in this investigation is when they're investigating more regarding Margaret's letters to her cousin, right, and one that never sent. It's quite interesting because Margaret's fear over Doon. Now, this was a time written in 1964 where this kind of thing, being attracted to your own gender, was seen as abhorrent. Sad as it is, it was seen as a mental illness. It was only until 1967 that homosexuality was decriminalised in the UK. And this book came out, okay, in 1964, 3 years to the actual event. Being gay, being a member of the LGBTQ plus community, was considered a mental illness. Yes. And you could be locked up, you could be deported, you were a criminal. Right. So, a sort of internalized fear among the generations of this time. People who either had lavender marriages, which if a gay person married, or actually two gay people married each other, okay, to save face and get rid of the reputation of any possibility of them being gay, or was the eternal bachelor, okay. A really good code word, okay, was long-time companion. If someone died, okay, and in obituaries it was he died with his long-term companion, that was the code word for being gay. Okay, so yeah, here we are, right? And this is what Margaret's own words, right? This bit here. I wasn't too pleased when I slapped bang against Doon again a couple of weeks after we moved in. Though I'm not old, I still feel frightened and a bit revolted. I said it was better to let things rest, but Doon will not have it. I must say it's quite pleasant to get a few rides in a nice comfortable car and get taken out for a few meals in hotels. Right? Believe me, Nan, it's always been friendship. When Doon and I were younger, I really don't think we knew we could be anything else. At least I didn't. Of course, the very thought disgusts me. Doon only wants companionship, but it is a bit creepy. So even Margaret found the fact, it was a clear hetero, found that Doon, okay, or Miss Missel, found it abhorrent that she was being pursued, and of course she couldn't really tell anyone about this due to the fact that it was against the law at the time. Now it was the whole kind of, for men it was definitely against the law. However, women was a bit more leeway. Okay, so okay, here we are. And also, once again, the bitterness, because Margaret is a childless marriage, okay, and the fact is that she's 30 years old and been unable to conceive a child, okay, with her husband Ron, right. We are happy, and Ron seems much more relaxed now we are away from town. I never understand now why people like Doon can't be content with what they have, not be crying out for the moon. What? So it's fact is, okay, that Mizzle has a wonderful house, a wonderful husband, and wonderful children. Why can't she be happy living the lie which she's encased herself in? She married a man she doesn't love, had children she doesn't, well, she particularly like that much. She's living her life. Living her life, but living a lie within that life. Okay? Okay. And in the end, Wexford finally starts to put the pieces together. Basically, Margaret looked at Miss Mizzle's life and saw how wonderful it must be. Okay, nice house, nice husband, nice cars and all that. Even though Miss Mizzle's life was so repressed and in pain, hiding this, absolutely hiding this. Okay, and when it all comes out, okay, that it was Miss Mizzle that actually killed Miss Partside, killed Margaret. Okay, everyone's reactions to this. Now, obviously, okay, remember 1967, homosexuality yet to be decriminalised. Okay, and it's the whole kind of this bit here, right? When they're saying again, didn't the husband know that she actually preferred women? Okay, and Wexford and Burns' reaction is this. Okay, God knows, he said, I reckon he always thought he was God's gift to women, and marrying him would make her forget all about men are. Right. But Bernard's a little sick, but Wexford went on. Right. Here you go. So the reactions to this, it's quite, they see this as unnatural. Absolutely. Okay. And it all turns out because obviously is that Miss Mizzle actually had a substantial inheritance. She brought mine to this, but in her marriage, which she felt forced into, she wanted to be an actress, but they wouldn't let her be. So she got married to a man that she's very, very unhappy with. And everyone's reactions to it is basically to treat Miss Mizzle's life as if it was like, well, you know, maybe the marriage was never truly consummated. Maybe they were both getting it elsewhere. There's no sympathy for this. You know, what she did was absolutely wrong, of course. However, it's not even portrayed in a sympathetic light by the people within it. They basically dismiss Miss Mizzle as having a mental illness. Okay, that she is wrong for being the way she is. Very, very of the time period. Okay, so this must have been a sensation in 1964 when this came out. Actually having this kind of thing. Now, it's a whole kind of twinges of kind of maromniatic with how Mizzle's devotion was to Margaret, okay, to the point it bordered on unhinged. But in a way, okay, it's the fact that Margaret found it absolutely abhorrent, okay, the fact that Mizzle was interested in her as Doon, writing to her as Doon, okay, and yet, even that, but she was still prepared to use her, okay, for some dinners that came rise in the car, right. So in the end, way, everyone basically used Doon, right. Touch and Love was married, and the woman she loved was just using her, okay, for some free dinners. Right. So it's kind of, you can understand why she snapped. This is a book very, very much about oppression. Also how men perceive women. It takes way too long for them to even consider that Doon could be a woman. So, and Margaret's letters, the fact is that as soon as she got married, she was under her husband's control, but also so was Mrs. Mizzle. Miss Mizzle was allowed, okay, to write, okay, or even explore her creativity, but she was able to write letters, okay. Her husband stifled her creativity, and in the end she just snapped. Not just to find her actions, of course, but you can also understand her. Reading this, obviously, like 70 years after publication, I mean, it's an incredible book, which is truly, truly endured. No, from 6 years after publication, actually. 6 years after publication. You can see how Ruth Reynolds actually endured, because this, for the time period, must have been an absolute sensation. And I'm putting us now for some choppy editing, and I'm signing off here. Bye now.